Good morning. I understand that there might be some folks that are out there on the web, so I just want to say we're going to take a couple minutes before we get started here and let folks check in. So we'll be starting up in a little bit. Good morning and welcome to the second of 3 scoping meetings that the State Water Board is holding for the Lower Klamath project in order to inform the development of an environmental document for the application the State Water Board has before it for a water quality certification. I'm Erin Ragazzi with the State Water Resources Control Board. I work in the Division of Water Rights, and I'm joined here today by some other State Water Board folks. Parker Thaler works in the Water Quality Certification Program. He's going to be providing a presentation a little bit later today. I'm also joined today by Alan Luca. He's going to be manning the computer because this is being broadcast today. So folks are able to listen in and hear the presentation. And if folks want to, they can also email us their comments or questions. We'll be taking some procedural questions. And then Mariana Owie is also with the State Water Board. She's in the Office of Chief Counsel. And everyone should have signed in downstairs. If you didn't sign in downstairs, please be sure to sign in the back of the room just so we know how many folks came today. We're also joined today by our consultant, Maya Singer and Laura McClure. They're both with Stillwater Sciences. And our court reporter today is Kathy Swank. So Kathy is going to be transcribing the meeting so that we have a record of it. So that transcript will be posted to the web once we get it back following the meeting. A little bit about general logistics here at the Cal EPA building. So should there be an emergency, alarm start flashing, that type of thing, that means that we should gather our items and leave out the nearest exit door, go down the stairs, and we'll reconvene at Cesar Chavez Park. Hopefully it will not be raining at that time, if that were to occur. If you hang out with us, then you'll know when we get the all clear sign in, we can all come back in and proceed with the meeting. Again, hopefully that does not happen. If you need to use the facilities restroom, out the door and to your left, and then to your right, you can get to restroom facilities. And everyone should have a handout. There's a scoping meeting information sheet in the back of the room for folks that want to grab one. It has some very general information. The key things I want to point out on it is it has the web page for the Lower Klamath project. So if you want additional information after you leave here today, you can get that on the Lower Klamath webpage. The presentation is posted there. Additionally, it says how to sign up for our email subscription list. So if you want to receive emails notifying you about things related to the Lower Klamath project, follow the instructions there. And then on the back, there's a nice map of the Lower Klamath project area. So this meeting is being broadcast today, so it is important to make sure everybody speaks into the microphone so that folks that are online can hear us. A little procedurally, we're going to have folks step up to that microphone right over there if they want to make any public comments later today. And the purpose of today's meeting is really to provide information, but more importantly, to solicit input and comments from folks about the water quality, the environmental document we're preparing for the water quality certification related to the Lower Klamath project. And with that, I'm going to get into a couple quick updates. So originally, the Wairika scoping meeting was scheduled to take place on January 10th. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it due to bad weather, but we were fortunate to be able to reschedule it for January 26th. So if you know folks in that area and they're interested in the project, please be sure to pass on the information that we're having the Wairika scoping meeting next Thursday, January 26th at the Miners End from 5 to 7 p.m. We did update the notice of preparation with that location change and date change, and that's also posted on the Lower Klamath project webpage. So a little bit about what we're going to be doing here today. Going to go through a little bit of the logistics and ground rules. Parker's going to provide a presentation that provides some background about the Lower Klamath project. Then we'll have an opportunity for any procedural questions, but like I said, we're really here to solicit comments, so we're going to open it up for public comments at that point in time. And then the meeting is scheduled to conclude by noon. So hopefully folks have signed in the back of the room. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker card. That lets us know how many folks do want to speak today. If at any point in time you decide you want to speak, go grab a speaker card, fill it out, and then you can hand it to Lauren or any of us up here. And so that Kathy can accurately get your name, please, when you come up, state your name, first and last name, and spell your first and last name for her so she can get it in the record properly. I will do my best to pronounce folks' names properly as well. So at this time, I'm going to ask that everybody silence their electronic devices. So if you've got those, take them out, do a quick scan, make sure they're in the off position. Some other general ground rules: we want to make sure that we respect all speakers and all points of views. Only one person speaks at a time. That's really important in any meeting, but especially important in this meeting because it's being broadcast, and we want to make sure that folks that are listening online get to hear what folks have to say. I'm going to ask that folks hold any questions or comments until the end of the presentation, and again, we'll have that brief opportunity for any procedural questions, and then we'll really be getting into the comment period. I think we'll have plenty of time for commenters today, given the number of folks we have here today, but when we have a lot of folks, we do have to limit comment time. So I anticipate we won't have to do that in this case today. Written comments are an alternative to providing oral comments. So if you want to provide additional comments after you leave here today, or if folks didn't get enough time to provide their comments today, they're welcome to send them in. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Parker so that he can provide a presentation and more context to why we're here today.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks. So as Aaron said, my name is Parker Thaler, and I'm the lead technical staff assigned to the Lower Klamath Project's Water Quality Certification application. We're here today because the Klamath River Renewal Corporation, or KRRC, submitted a water quality certification application for the Lower Klamath Project. The State Water Board conditions hydroelectric projects via water quality certifications to ensure the protection of state waters. And the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, requires an environmental impact report to inform the State Water Board and the public about the project's significant environmental effects and ways to reduce those impacts. So today, I'll be providing an overview of the Lower Klamath Project dam developments, background on the Lower Klamath Project's progress through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, relicensing process, and a description about the link from the Lower Klamath Project to the Klamath Hydroelectric Project, as well as an overview of the CEQA process, and a discussion of our notice of preparation that was filed on December 22nd of 2016. So shown in this slide is a map illustrating the general locations of the Lower Klamath Project dam developments. For the purpose of easy viewing, I've put blue dots on top of the Lower Klamath Project dam developments and a red line to delineate the border between California and Oregon. Other than that, this is the same figure that's located on the front page of the notice of preparation and on the back page of the fact sheet, which is located at the back of the room. The Lower Klamath Project is located along the Klamath River in Siskiyou County, California, and in Klamath County, Oregon. The Lower Klamath Project facilities include J.C. Boyle, COPCO number 1, COPCO number 2, and Iron Gate Dam developments. J.C. Boyle is located approximately 16 miles north of the California-Oregon border and is subject to the state of Oregon's water quality certification process, which is a separate action than what we are discussing today. The Lower Klamath Project dam developments are currently part of PacifiCorp's Klamath Hydroelectric Project, and those facilities are also included on this figure, and from upstream to downstream include Eastside and Westside, which are located adjacent to Link River Dam on Upper Klamath Lake, Keno and J.C. Boyle, which are both Oregon-based facilities, COPCO number 1, COPCO number 2, and Iron Gate, which are California-based facilities along the main stem Klamath River, and Fall Creek, which is located on Fall Creek, a tributary to the Klamath River. You can see in bold and underlined, I've depicted the Lower Klamath Project dam developments in relation to the Klamath Hydroelectric Project facilities. And off to the right of each name, there is an abbreviation for the state that that facility is located in. So now that I've provided a general description of the project's locations, I wanted to provide some background information on the Lower Klamath project and its link to the Klamath Hydroelectric project. And that begins in 1956 when the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, issued the original license for the construction and operation of the Lower Klamath project. And for context, FERC is the federal agency that issues orders to hydroelectric projects for the construction, operation, and decommissioning of those facilities. FERC's orders are often issued with conditions or measures that project operators must implement in order to protect public and environmental resources. The 1956 FERC license order was issued on a 50-year term that expired in 2006. And because the FERC license expired, the Klamath Hydroelectric Project is required to obtain a new license from FERC. And that license requires a water quality certification as well as other various state and federal authorizations. So in 2004, the then and current owner of the Klamath Hydroelectric Project, PacifiCorp, and associated Lower Klamath Project dam developments applied to renew the FERC license, and shortly after, in 2006, submitted a water quality certification application for continued operations of the Klamath Hydroelectric Project. In 2007, FERC completed its National Environmental Policy Act compliance by issuance of a final environmental impact statement that analyzed PacifiCorp's proposed project of continued operations as well as various alternatives. Oops. So following FERC's issuance of its final environmental impact statement, some Klamath Hydroelectric parties began discussions for a settlement agreement that resulted in the formation of the Klamath Hydroelectric Settlement Agreement in February of 2010. The Klamath Hydroelectric Settlement Agreement created a pathway for dam removal of J.C. Boyle, Copco No. 2, Copco No. 1, and Iron Gate via federal authorization that would have removed these facilities from the FERC process. And in September of 2012, the Klamath Hydroelectric Settlement Agreement and its companion agreement, known as the Klamath Basin Restoration Agreement, resulted in the final Klamath Facilities Removal Environmental Impact Statement and Environmental Impact Report. Now, before I go any further, I would like to note here that the State Water Board is not a signatory to any of the settlement agreements, and that the State Water Board maintains its independent authority to condition the Klamath Hydroelectric Project and the Lower Klamath Project for the protection of water quality. And in light of the substantial new information developed since the 2008 Notice of Preparation that the State Water Board had released to begin its CEQA process, in 2015, the State Water Board reinitiated the CEQA process to analyze PacifiCorp's Klamath Hydroelectric Project by releasing a Notice of Preparation and hosting a public scoping meetings. Shortly thereafter, on April 6th of 2016, the Klamath Hydroelectric Settlement Agreement was amended to remove provisions requiring federal authorization and instead pursue dam removal through the FERC process. Following the amendment of the KHSA and at the request of PacifiCorp, on June 16th of 2016, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission placed the Klamath Hydroelectric Project relicensing process on hold or in abeyance. And shortly after, PacifiCorp withdrew its water quality certification application from the State Water Board, thereby ending its water quality certification and CEQA process for relicensing of the Klamath Hydroelectric Project. Following the withdrawal of PacifiCorp's application, several things happened on September 23rd of 2016. The first being a new entity, a 501c3 known as the Klamath River Renewal Corporation, or KRRC, jointly filed with PacifiCorp a license transfer application seeking to divide the Klamath Hydroelectric Project into two separate projects. The first being the Klamath Hydroelectric Project, which would be owned by PacifiCorp and consist of East Side and West Side, Keno, and Fall Creek, while the second would be the Lower Klamath Project that would be owned by the Klamath River Renewal Corporation and consist of J.C. Boyle, Copco Number 1, Copco Number 2, and Iron Gate Dam developments. The Klamath Hydroelectric Project will maintain its FERC project number of 2082, while the Lower Klamath Project has received a new FERC number of 14803. I'd like to note that the transfer application is pending before FERC. So in addition to the transfer application, also on September 23rd of 2016, the Klamath River Renewal Corporation filed with FERC a license surrender application seeking to decommission sufficient portions of the Lower Klamath Project to provide for volitional fish passage and a free-flowing Klamath River. And also, on September 23rd of 2016, the Klamath River Renewal Corporation submitted a water quality certification application to the State Water Board for its proposed project of decommissioning. So the State Water Board is proceeding with processing the KRRC's water quality certification application. Before the State Water Board can issue a water quality certification or take an additional action on the project, it must first comply with CEQA, as CEQA is a requirement of state law. Information developed in the CEQA process will be used to inform future actions of the State Water Board on this project. And today's scoping meeting is part of the Notice of Preparation public comment period that began on December 22nd of 2016 and will end at 5 p.m. on February 1st, 2017. So shown in the slide is an overview of the typical CEQA process in which the State Water Board is the CEQA lead agency and has determined an environmental impact report is necessary. Following that determination, the State Water Board issues a notice of preparation and conducts public scoping meetings. You can see on the slide in cap locked and in underlined, I've noted that this is a formal public comment period. And that comment period again began on December 22nd and will end on February 1st. Following the close of that comment period, the State Water Board will consider all comments received as well as existing environmental information and use that to prepare a draft environmental impact report. The draft environmental impact report will include items like a detailed project description as well as description of other alternatives, mitigation measures to reduce project impacts, and a discussion of environmental baseline. After preparing the draft environmental impact report, the State Water Board will issue it for another formal public comment period as shown on the slide. Sorry, there you go. For a minimum of 30 days. Similar to the notice of preparation public comment period, all comments received during the comment period will be considered and used to inform the development of the final environmental impact report. And following or concurrent with issuance of the final environmental impact report, the State Water Board will take an action on the KRRC's water quality certification application. So our CEQA approach is to focus on the California portion of the Lower Klamath project. We would like to use the FERC environmental impact statement and Klamath facilities removal environmental impact statement and environmental impact report in development of our CEQA document. And we also plan to use information gathered by CEQA commenters, the scientific community, settlement agreements, tribes, and other sources. Our notice of preparation identified 2 project alternatives, those being the Klamath River Renewal Corporation's proposed project to decommission sufficient portions of the Lower Klamath project to provide for volitional fish passage and a free-flowing Klamath River, as well as the no project alternative. And we recognize that there is a range of actions and alternatives in between both of those. And part of this comment period is to hear from the public on which alternatives they feel should be considered. So jumping to today's meeting, as said earlier, all public comments received by February 1st of 2017 will be considered. And I consider all comments to be helpful. But there are a few key pieces of information that would be most helpful to us in our process, and I've listed those up here. The first being the range of alternatives or specific alternatives the public feels should be included and analyzed in our CEQA document. Any potential impacts that should be evaluated or mitigation measures. And of course, any other items. I would like to note that there was previous analysis done for the Klamath Hydroelectric Project as discussed by FERC and the Klamath Facilities Removal CEQA document. And to the extent that that information exists, and if the public agrees or disagrees, it is beneficial for us to hear that. We do understand that there will be environmental impacts associated with the KRRC's proposed project and other alternatives that we will be analyzing, including but not limited to items such as the large release of sediments from behind Copco and Iron Gate, groundwater table changes, and impacts to tribal cultural resources. And if you're planning on commenting on any of those items, in our notice of preparation, there is an attachment 1 that lists a summary of impacts that we anticipate. And I encourage everyone to look at that and let us know if there's any feedback that needs to be done. So with that, please submit your comments by 5 p.m. on February 1st of 2017 to the physical or email address shown there. Also on the slide is a link to our Lower Klamath Project webpage where we post updated information like this PowerPoint, the notice of preparation, the water quality certification application, so it's a good source to check out. And I'll be turning it over to Aaron to take any questions related to processes and then move into public comments. Thank you.
Are there any procedural questions about the water board's CEQA process? Great. We'll move directly into public comment. That's what we're here for. Given I have 4 comment cards, I'm just going to put a 5-minute timer over there so folks are aware of how much time they're using. And I'm going to have folks walk up to that podium over there and speak into the microphone. When you walk up there, be sure to push the button. It'll turn green. That means that it's on and folks should be able to hear you if you get close enough. So I'm going to read off a couple names just so folks know what order they're in. So I have Ed Newt, Jonathan McClellan, Brian Johnson, and W. Clover. Is there anybody else? If anybody else wants to provide any comments, speaker comments, please fill out a speaker card and you can hand it off up here. So Ed, if you want to take podium. And just to help folks out, there's a little thing up there that says, please remember, state your name first and last and spell it for Kathy, because I'm sure she would really appreciate it.
Push. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thanks.
To snuggle up to you.
Oh. Thank you. I'm Edward Newt. I live in Marin County. I'm a civil engineer and an interested citizen, and I encourage the state board to move forward with the certification to remove the Iron Gate Copco 1 and 2 and J.C. Boyle dams on the Klamath River, known as the Lower Klamath Project. And I strongly encourage the state board to move forward with the water quality certification. For many years, I've been involved in restoration projects in Marin on the Lagunitas Creek, including removal of Roy's Dam in San Geronimo Valley. Lagunitas Creek is critically important to the passage of spawning endangered coho salmon on the Central California coast. It now has one of the largest coho runs on the Central California coast, although these rains are probably washing it all out. I'm also aware and have visited the highly successful dam removal up on the Elwha River in Washington State. They now have restored the salmon runs far up into the Olympic Park. The Klamath River is a major river in California and on the West Coast. The 4 dams in the Lower Klamath Project are aging infrastructure. Their continued existence is untenable because of the adverse effects on downstream water quality and fisheries. They're anachronisms, and sooner or later they'll have to be removed. Otherwise, they'll just continue to silt in and kill and weaken the downstream fishery. Further delay will just add silt that'll have to be dealt with when eventually they come down. And this should be quantified in the EIR. Some scoping recommendations I have is how much silt is being trapped each year behind these dams, and what's the impact of a delay on their removal. What improvement to the downstream fishery would result in the dam removal? If the dams are gone, there could be a fly fishing potential for recreation use of that part of the river. There could also be some rafting recreation activities that ought to be quantified. And in terms of power generation, it'd be nice to quantify the amount of land that would be needed to replace the power that's generation with solar panels or windmills. Finally, as a personal note, my grandparents lived in Mount Shasta. My grandfather, Edward H. Kopp, served on the Board of Supervisors for 12 years, as well as on the Mount Shasta City Council. And he served on the Board of Trustees of the Siskiyou Joint Union High School District for 21 years. He was a strong force in bringing high schools to rural communities of the county, including Happy Camp and Tule Lake. Edward Kopp was a progressive thinker and took a keen interest in public works, particularly road improvements, which were sorely needed at the time, as well as public education. And I would hope that if he were alive today, he would have seen the benefits of dam removal would greatly help the people of the Klamath by restoring the free-flowing river and resulting in a healthy fishery and increased recreation opportunities. I would hate to think that 50 or 100 years from now, these dams would still be in place as aging infrastructure and still sickening and killing fish, degrading the downstream water quality. At some point, the dams will have to come out, and sooner better than later. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If you want to leave your written comments, I'm sure Kathy would appreciate them.
You take these? Okay.
And if you could state and spell your name, that would be great.
Do I need to start this timer here? Do I need to start the timer?
He'll do it. He's got it.
Okay. My name is Jonathan McClelland, JONATHANMCCLELLAND, and I'm a private citizen. I've been involved in what's going on in the Klamath since 2001, which was a couple of years before the FERC relicensing process started. But it was apparent at that time to pretty much anybody with any scientific information that there was no feasible economic way to bring these four dams in the Lower Klamath project into compliance for water quality and for fish passage. There were numerous public groups that are frequently on opposite sides of the fence on anything that has to do with environmental concerns, that they came together on this project and worked out the Klamath Hydropower Settlement Agreement and the Klamath, the KBR, through a lot of years of work and just spreading the information to the affected communities as to how much of a benefit it would be if these dams came down. The Klamath River was once the third largest salmon spawning river in the western United States, south of Alaska. And now all of the fish that spawn up the Klamath River, aside from the ones that go into the Trinity, are either endangered or threatened. So it's of utmost importance that the State Water Resources Control Board act as expediently as possible to move this process forward. There was a good agreement in place, and it ran into a roadblock with the federal Congress. And I am thrilled that the Water Resources Control Board has provided another opportunity to move this process forward. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing those dams come down. I want to be able to fish for salmon in that river and eat them with my grandchildren. Time's running out.
Thank you. So Brian Johnson and then W. Glover. And then is there anybody else that wants to fill out a speaker card here today?
Hello, my name is Brian Johnson, and I'm the California and Klamath Director for Trout Unlimited. We're a signatory to the KHSA and help negotiate the original agreement and the amendments to the agreement. I'll keep my remarks short. We participated in the original scoping for the relicensing project with FERC and the water quality certification, and through that process, and also through the NEPA and CEQA document prepared for the secretarial determination. And we believe that the Water Board can and should use that CEQA document for this proceeding. Our only other recommendation at this point, although we will submit written comments, is to continue to keep in mind the historic nature of this and the high priority that the state of California has put on this for close to 20 years now. It's a priority in the State Water Action Plan. The legislature has specifically called it out as something to move forward, and we'd like to see a good timeline and being able to stick to it so that we can keep the project on track. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. My name is William Glover, Glover. I wanted to remind you to include Native American stakeholders in whatever comes next, and there needs to be a viable alternative energy replacement for the lost hydro. It seems like it prevents a good opportunity to expand salmon restoration, which is a good thing. To remove these dams makes it possible for to maybe in the future have a possible state wild and scenic river declared out of the Klamath watershed area. Thank you.
Thank you. Ali Hostler. And I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Ali Hostler. I need to spell ALLIEHOSTLER. I'm a member of the Hoopa tribe, and I've been in front of the Water Board several times over the past several years. Most of the time it had been to beg you guys not to continue to grant abeyances for Pacific Corp to continue to operate their polluting dams. But today, I'm happy to say I encourage the Water Board to move forward with a water quality permit to decommission the 4 dams in question. I believe you've done it before in like 2011. It was the right decision then, and it's the right decision now. All the science up until this point and even since 2011 has only proven that decommissioning the dams is of great benefit. And as the gentleman stated earlier, there's a lot of movement and support for that. It's the right thing to do. So back when I've been in front of the board before, I'd advocated for the process to revert away from the settlement process and to the FERC process. So now that that's finally an option, I'd say move forward and on a tight timeline so that FERC can do what they need to do in the time frame that we have. So I wasn't quite prepared for this hearing, but I'm glad I was able to be here, and I definitely support the Water Board moving forward with the process. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else interested in making a public comment today? Anything online? Okay, we all get an extra hour and 20 minutes in our day. That's always a nice thing to have happen. So again, the public comment period ends on February 1st at 5 p.m. So I encourage everyone to provide written comments if they have any additional comments they'd like to before then. Thank you.